Urban Media Today talks sports with Ray Porter Jr., Vince Butts, and Trevin A. Jones on Urban Media Today Radio.
It's game time! Urban Media Today talks sports. We got my man Vince Butts. We got my man Coach William Greg Hoyd Jr. I like saying his full name. I can't just put some William Hoyd or Greg Hoyd. Coach William Greg Hoyd Jr. We got my man. I gotta save him for last, Coach. I'm gonna save him for last. So
Okay,
we have a special guest, Miss Tiffany Hoyd, and we have a special guest, Miss Rane'e James. Man, we're gonna be on fire this show. The ladies, oh man, Black women doing great things. Young and strong. I'm already amped. Anyway, all right, I'll introduce him now, Coach.
Yes, sir. We got Ray Porter Jr. book barbecue sauce coming soon. Coming soon.
Do you hear this, Tiffany? Do you hear this, Renee? I mean, my thing is, why am I not collecting any royalties on this? I need to work
on, man. Hold on, Red. It's coming, man. It's coming.
Well, I need to talk to you about it, Mr. Envelopes. So yeah, let's work that out.
Without question.
Endorsement.
Yeah. I don't see how, man. And again, I'm getting offended, Coach, because how is Ray being a regular on the show on a regular basis get a bigger intro than our guest? Are you kidding me right now? It's not even supposed to be like that.
Listen, I need theme music, so we need to work on that.
No, I don't think so. So Rane'e and Tiffany, you see how we cut up right away. It's right out the gate.
Mm-hmm.
It's comfortable. It's relaxed. We're going to have fun. We're going to be enlightening. We're going to drop some gems. We're going to let people know what's really going on. So, Coach, what I'm going to do, I'll let you do the honors of introducing our guest, and then we'll take off from there.
You work with Miss Tiffany Hoyd, so I'm gonna defer to you, give you deference, and let you just go ahead and introduce Tiffany Hoyd, and then I'm gonna come back in and introduce Miss James. How about that?
So, okay, this young lady, who's going to be a lawyer, who's going to be my lawyer one day. I'm gonna tell you that right now. An awesome play-by-play person, whether she knows it or not. An awesome color commentator, whether she knows it or not. Knows the game. I think she knows any sport that she puts her mind to study, to be honest with you. But I know she knows the game of football very well. So well that she could be in the film room with coaches and then be in a booth and she could break down the strategies and the plays and the schemes and all that without question. Very articulate, very intelligent. Man, just when you put lady, and I always call her the royalty of the airways. I call her the queen of the airways. So that might be a little too much, but hey, that's how I felt. Miss Tiffany Hoyd, Howard University alum, grad school now at NC Central, correct? Check you out. So she's our guest today. She's one of our guests today. And then now, Coach, I'm gonna let you introduce our next guest.
Yes. So Trev, we just jumped over the pond. We have an exciting guest from the UK tonight. Oh my gosh, this is awesome.
Wait a minute, Coach, did you say from where? Where did you say from? From where?
The UK. We jumped the pond. The illustrious Rane'e James, Black equestrian, headed for the Olympics. We're just excited to have the uniqueness of Black Girl Magic tonight. Oh my goodness. I'm excited to have one of the few Black female equestrians lobbying, working her butt off for the Olympics.
So if I can, Tiff, tell us a little bit about yourself first, and then we'll allow Miss Rane'e James to do the same.
Well, like you said, I'm at Central right now, North Carolina Central. Shout out to the Eagles, the legal Eagles. I'm in law school. I am wrapping up my first year. I'm in final season, so there's a lot of studying happening right now, right about this time. I am a journalist / legal mind. I have a podcast on SB Nation Talks Haven called Riled Up about the Washington football team. I am trying to be a person of many hats and take note from my leadership and mentors and how to make that happen.
No doubt, and you will make it happen without question. So, Miss James.
Hi, my name is Renee. I'm 22. I am a Black equestrian. On top of that, I am a student, graphic designer, and a mother. So I wear a lot of hats at once. And I've been riding for about 8 years now. Started later than most people, got into the sport pretty old. I was about 14 when I started. worked my way up from the bottom, did a lot of volunteer work to just be able to ride, and got where I'm at today. I've hopes to go to the Olympic Games. Paris 2024 is what I've set my sight on, competing for the Caribbean, because I'd rather compete for the Caribbean where my family's from in the UK. And yeah, I work insanely hard at what I do every single day just to get where I'm at. I absolutely love the sport. I love the animals. I know it's a very unique sport. We don't have a lot of Black people in it. I think the entire sport, statistically, 0.8% of people that ride are non-white. So that means everything that's not white, like Black, Asian, all of the other ethnic minorities, and like 0.05 or something like 0.6% actually compete of the Black riders. So, you know, it's I'm as rare as a unicorn in this world, and I absolutely love it. I'm trying to change the game, change my sport, and make it more inclusive for Black people and people from underprivileged backgrounds, because it is a very elitist sport.
You didn't have it easy trying to even get next to horses or near horses, correct? I mean, people made it tough for, like, people made it literally hard for you to even get near horses. Am I correct when I say that?
So the sport is crazy expensive. Like, I have a training session on Saturday, and that has cost me £70. So just like even basic lessons start anywhere from 60 to 100 per hour. So it just wasn't affordable. Like, growing up in the hood, you know, lessons just weren't affordable to anyone. You know, I had to get creative in the ways that I got into riding. So when I was finally old enough, and after an insane amount of bugging to my parents, I think they just got sick of me. That's why they said yes. They allowed me to volunteer at a riding school near me. Well, there's a stables that didn't offer riding actual lessons. So I volunteered there, took the opportunity that I got because it was close to home. It's the only place they would let me go to, because there's two barns that are quite close to each other, but one is quite in a very racist area. So my parents would not allow me to go there as a kid. So I went to the other place, which didn't offer like set lessons. So I went there, volunteered, got the opportunity to just be around horses, shoveling crap all day, leading kids on rides, grooming them, mucking, like tacking them up. And to me, all these things were just so incredible. Like, I absolutely adored it. I found it, you know, even just not being able to ride them, just being around them, I found it amazing. And then from that, I took the opportunities, like they gave us chances to ride, like all the volunteers. So I'd take those opportunities, I'd go out in the woods with other volunteers, and I basically taught myself how to ride based on what I've seen other people doing and things that I've seen on YouTube, because I want to say I've stopped doing this, but I still do it. Just sit down and religiously watch other people ride on YouTube, and, you know, watch what they're doing well, what they're doing wrong, and alter how I work based on that. And that is how I laid my foundation.
Wow. See, that's incredible. You are going to have to jump in, because you know me, I will talk and talk and talk, and I'll ask all the questions, and I don't mean to monopolize anything. But I have to tell you, Ranee, kudos to you. I mean, to be as young as you are, to overcome the things, that the barriers that are put in front of us, and a lot of people don't recognize those barriers. And then to be in a field, in a sport where it's like less than 8%. Seriously?
Less
I
than
mean,
0.8%. It's less than 1%.
did you say 0.8%?
0.8.
How do you survive mentally? How do you prepare yourself? How tough is it?
I'm going to be honest with you. Until I was 18, I think I saw 2 Black people around horses. 2. I got so excited, like, oh my gosh, it's another Black person. And funny story, long story short, one of the other girls turned out to be my cousin.
Oh, wow.
What?
So I'm like, oh, okay, it's in the blood. I saw 2 Black girls before the age of 18, and before I went to Antigua. I saw 2 Black girls riding. One was doing volunteer, well, both of them actually were doing volunteer work, because as part of like a vet school prerequisite, you have to have a certain amount of experience around animals. So both of them were just volunteering to get the opportunity to go to vet school.
Incredible. Hey, Ranee, I wanted to ask you this question because we have a lot of listeners here in the States. I mean, our history with horses as Blacks in the States is pretty rich. I mean, some of the first Black races were Black cowboys. Okay, 25% of the cowboys here in the States and early were all Black. So we're around horses a lot. But so to introduce or to talk to some of the listeners about just getting to get over the fear of being around horses, because nowadays we don't interact with that because it's so expensive, and maintaining a horse is so expensive. Can you talk to some of the young girls, like how can they start just being around horses or approaching horses? Can you talk a little bit about that?
So I know in the US, I speak to several people in the US on a regular basis. There are actually some incredible programs to get like young Black kids around horses. There's a podcast called the Young Black Equestrian Podcast, and I'm very close to the two women that run that. And they've actually set up a website where you can search in your area and you can find like the closest barn to you that will offer you services. There's the Compton Cowboys, they do some incredible work getting Black boys and girls into the sport. You know, there's so many, and like the UK, we have like 3 set disciplines. In the US, there's so many different disciplines. You guys have the Western riding, so many different things you can try. And I know these animals seem so scary to people. It's like 1,200 pounds of pure strength, but the only way I can describe riding is how you imagine it feeling, to how you would fly. Like, it's that incredible, breathtaking experience where you just feel so open, you feel so free, you just, every single worry in your body just flies away. You know, I've literally been on horses where I've just had my arms out, smiling on my face, because this is the best thing, like one of the best things you could experience in life. And I don't think you'll ever get as close to nature as you will on a horse's back. The communication between horse and rider, those emotions, it's something that has to be felt. It's not something that can actually be described. So for everyone, I would highly recommend getting to spend time around these animals. They're so incredible, they're so intelligent. And, you know, especially for people that suffer from mental health problems like myself, I do suffer from depression, anxiety, and amongst some other things. And I find being around horses so grounding, and it takes me, you know, it can calm me down on my angriest of days. It can brighten my day on my saddest of days. You know, just the level of emotional support that these animals can also give you is absolutely incredible.
Ranee, I knew you were going to be on the show, and I don't know if it was subconsciously, but I watched Idris Elba and the Concrete Cowboy on Netflix last night.
Please don't spoil it. Please don't spoil it. Please don't spoil it.
Okay, I'm not going to tell you anything about it. Nope, I won't do that. We're going to pause it right there. It's the end of the first quarter. It's Urban Media Today Talk Sports. I see Ranee and I got something in common. We're going to come right back after this timeout.
There was a guy in Food Lion pushing a shopping cart with one hand and using his other hand to hold his shirt over his mouth and nose because he didn't have a face cover. Now, he knew good and well before he left the house that he didn't have a mask, but his effort was so convincing. I mean, by all indications, working incredibly hard to practice one of the 3 W's, I couldn't be mad at him.
Urban Media Today Talks Sports. We got my man, Coach William Greg Hoyd Jr., Vince Butts, Ray Porter Jr., Miss Tiffany Hoyd, the royalty of the airways, as I always say. And then we have Miss Rane'e James, who I am going to say is going to be royalty of the equestrianism. Is that a word? I just may want to, okay. Royalty of equestrianism. And a future Olympian. That's what we're hoping for. I was teasing Ranee just before we went into break. I watched Idris Elba and the Concrete Cowboy on Netflix. I'm not going to say anything else about it because she wants to watch it. And she was just talking about how she loved riding horses and how it made her feel free. So I can relate. But I've never been on a horse. Well, wait a minute. I've been on a pony. I haven't been on a horse. So I know there's probably a big difference. But go ahead, Coach. You were going to ask Ranee some more questions, and I'll just go ahead and be quiet.
Yeah, Ranee, you just lit up when you started talking about your experience with a horse. I love that. I love to see that excitement on your face. I love to see just, you know, youth that get excited about, you know, just conquering new activities. And so talk to us about, you know, becoming or going to show as a rider or equestrian. What's a day like? What's a day like preparing for maybe practice, or maybe I know you've won some events. So just I like to invite the listeners in and everybody listening around the world now today about just a day in preparing for maybe a practice or maybe a show.
So a day where I'd be like riding. So unfortunately for me, I haven't actually been in a position to own my own horse yet. I've done what is called like a lease of horses before, where I'm like sole in charge of caring for them, but I don't own them. So on a day where I have a lease horse, I would get up probably like 6 in the morning. The most recent I've had a lease horse was in December, so I get up about 6 in the morning. I'd like set my day, set my mood for the day, get my daughter ready, go to the barn for about 8, 9ish. If I'm don't have that horse on full board, then I have to be there like super early in the morning to feed it. So I'll get there probably around 8, 9 o'clock. If anyone's been around animals, you know they're like people. If you don't feed them on time, they get very grumpy. So they, like kicking the door, they're getting a bit of an attitude. They're like, where's my breakfast? Why are you late? You're 5 minutes late. What's going on? So I'll feed in the morning, and then the horse has to be turned out. So I've got to take it out into the field to turn it out. So it can stretch its legs, have some fun, eat some grass, get fat, whatever it needs to do. Then I need to clean out the stable. That usually will take about 20 minutes to an hour, depending on how dirty that horse is. Some horses are really neat and do all their business in one corner, and some like to kick it all over the place. So depending on how neat that horse is, I'll spend that day cleaning that out. Usually in the afternoon, I'll go back, bring the horse into the field, and then ride. Riding, typically, it will take about an hour to tack up, which is to brush the horse off. They need to be brushed from head to toe. Their feet, their hooves need to be picked like out, make sure there's no stones or anything in there. And then got to put all like the saddle, all the tack on them, and take it out to ride. I'll ride depending on what I've done that week. I would only jump maybe once, twice a week. Just, because I don't want to over jump the horse, then we end up with injuries. So if I'm doing like flat schooling, we'll do different like speeds, different works, maybe do like what we call pole work, where you put like poles on the ground and it will help them, extend their legs if they need to, or come back, like just different exercises to get us working together as a team, because having a bond between horse and rider is super important. And then cool down, like you need to warm up and cool down with a horse the same you would as if you were like running track. You want to make sure that your horse's muscles are quite supple. You want to make sure they're not getting any injuries. Cool the horse down. When I was in the Caribbean, we needed to wash the horses off after, just because it was so hot. In the UK, I tend not to wash them like with a hose as much, just because it's colder a lot more here. So I generally like we have something called a sweat scrape them off, rug them off if it's cold, do the feed, make sure the feed's in the stables with them, and then I'll just make sure that they're set for the day. Making feeds would generally take me like another 20 minutes, half an hour, depending on the horse. Then we do like hay nets. I tend to not put my horses hays in nets because the pulling of the neck is actually bad for their neck. So I tend to just throw it on the floor, muck it out again that night, make sure it's got water, and then leave for the night. But if I have a horse not on full board, I have to be there twice a day. Preparing for a show, I generally get up at 4 in the morning, depending on what time the show is. Most shows start anywhere between like 9 a.m. and midday. Because I've been leasing horses for shows, it's been a lot easier for me in the sense that I don't have to trailer horses to and from shows, because I've been leasing horses like at the show centers. So I'll lease a horse there, have to go in the morning, make sure it's groomed, make sure its mane's braided, make sure it just looks prim, proper, shiny, do like a morning warm up or like exercise, just get it warmed up. Then I'd have to go and look at the course, because we don't find out what like the course we're riding until the day. Look at the course, try and memorize the course, which is a whole nother task in itself, like making sure there's a whole set of jumps, and sometimes you have to jump the same jump but in like different directions of different parts of the course. So making sure I've memorized the course and get it right. I usually spend like an hour or so doing that. And then not long before your group, we have different like classes, they're called. Not so long when your class starts, you'd have to go and walk the course, so like physically walk through the course, count how many steps are in between each course, because that kind of helps you judge the distances when you're riding, especially with the bigger jumps, because you don't want to misjudge distances. That's when injuries come in. Walk the course, and then go and do like a warm up with my horse, and then go and do my ride. And there's so many steps into it, and then obviously cool down at the ends, and prizes are given like at the end of each class. So if I'm coming in if I'm placing, then I'll go and collect my prize, get the ribbon. Hopefully the shows that I'll be going to towards like the middle of this year, next year, they have prize money as well. So like you get ribbon, you get prize money, it's ceremony, you take photos, and the winners will like canter, which is like a horse run around the arena a couple times, like a lap of victory. And that will be the end of it. Got to cool the horse down, brush it, make sure it's fed and everything, put it back in the stable. At the end of the show, the whole show experience, I find it very uncomfortable, because I'm generally the only Black person at shows, and people look at me a lot. So it makes the whole environment makes me very uncomfortable. I usually keep to myself, or with my family. And Black people are so uncommon at shows that I've literally had people, like the photographers, we have photographers at shows who take photos of us ride and stuff, we can buy later stuff. I've actually had photographers take photos of my family just standing there. Like it's a very strange concept, and I do deal with some racism at shows because people, like, we're not common. The worst thing I've ever been called at a show is crook, which was a reference to the Book of Mice and Men. Anyone who hasn't read the book, it's a Black stable hand who was a slave who everyone mistreated, and he was called crook because he had a crook back, where he was kicked in the back by a horse, and they never got him medical attention. So his back was always crooked because it never got fixed. It's the worst thing I've been called at a show, and I'm incredibly petty. So she called me that. I was shocked. I didn't cuss her out. I didn't overreact. I don't want to give anyone any ammunition to say, oh, well, that's that crazy Black girl with a bunch of attitude. I was just like gaping like a fish for a minute. I left it. She was in my class. I made sure I beat her in competition first before I reported her, so she got banned from the rest of the competitions, just to knock her down a little peg. Like I deal with things in a very quiet but petty manner, and I don't care.
I love the fact that you admit it.
Love it. Trevin,
I don't get mad, I get even.
Go ahead, Tiff.
I have a question for you, Renee. This is just this has always been an interesting topic for me. Going to Howard, we took a lot of classes on like the Black diaspora and how we are connected, even though we don't all the time see eye to eye or feel as though we're connected. And a lot of our plights are very similar. You being from the UK and having that experience, being a Caribbean descent as well, how would you, I mean, it's kind of from the outside looking in, but you're saying right now you've had experiences that we've had in different circumstances here in the States. How do you think that the worlds intertwine and how the diaspora is connected in that way?
It's funny, I always say this, all Black people have the same childhood. Like, we all can relate to the exact same thing, down to the foods we ate, the way we were disciplined, you know, the things our parents said. Like, I think we all, like, I don't know, I think it's because I'm from the Caribbean as well, and we, you know, we're all meshed in the same struggle. We've all had that same mentality put into us. We're the descendants of the slaves who survived, or the descendants of the strong ones. So, you know, most of us have this, you stick together, you stick with yours because these are the ones who have defended us and these are the ones who protected you. So I find that I always mesh with other Black people. We can relate to the same experiences, so which is why we get along so well. And you know, it's a weird one. It's like, I speak to other Black equestrians outside of the UK, in the USA and stuff, and many of us will say we have the same experiences. There's a few that won't, but generally you'll find those differences where there's financial differences. So those Black equestrians who have a bit more money have a different experience because they've got a bit of a leg up. The rest of us who don't have that kind of funding are just like, yeah, we get a lot of rubbish, especially with something called working pupilship, which is what a lot of people try and push us into, which is like, you work for rides. Like, we'll give you the opportunity to ride and we'll pay you that absolute bare minimum we have to extort as much labor we can out of you while calling it an opportunity for you to get qualifications.
So it seems
incredible. Go ahead, Vince.
It seems that there's a whole host of challenges that you face, you know, not just as a woman in the industry, but as a Black woman. What are the challenges? You mentioned having to lease or loan a horse. Does that horse, are you always loaned that same horse? And if not, you know, what are the challenges, you know, having to train different horses each time you go in?
So I don't always lease the same horse. I'll go through phases where I will lease from different owners, but as I want to go on to do bigger things, it's more difficult to find horses that can like jump the heights that I want to jump or different things. For competitions, I've tended to lease horses from the riding schools. So the only way that I've actually been able to, well, you can get cheaper lessons if you own your own horse. Basically, you can get cheaper like instructions if you're on your own horse. Unfortunately, I don't own my own horse, and I don't have many leases long enough term that I can afford to take lessons like that, or they're not of the level where I can take lessons like that. So I just end up going back to riding school. So I'll pay for riding schools. I end up riding those horses. Those are the ones that will lease for competitions, because a lot of the riding schools also hold competitions. So I'll compete there and I'll lease those horses. And it's not a matter of training the horses each time. It's more, I've just learned to be able to ride anything. Like, especially when I was in the Caribbean, the whole attitude was you will learn to ride everything, because we don't have the luxury of having you be able to ride the same horse in every competition you go to, because in the Caribbean, you can't take the horses with you to competitions. They're not allowed to leave the islands because of most islands aren't allowed to have the animals leave because of like quarantine and like diseases that you're not allowed to spread. So we just got used to ride, like every lesson's a different horse. You get used to riding different things. And a lot of the leases that I've had more long term are horses that have problems. So I've noticed a pattern that keeps taking on problem horses, just because they need some consistency, they need a rider who can carry on. And I'll take them on until there's a point that I don't feel like I can do them any justice. One thing for me is I'll always put the horse and the horse's welfare before anything that I want or need, because they are a living being. So if I feel like I'm not doing this horse any justice anymore, I will send it back to its owner. It's not that, it might just be that we want different things. And, I don't want to overexert this horse, or the horse just a bit dangerous. There's many different reasons that I'd say that I'd send it back to the owner, but there have been a few circumstances where I have sent it back. At present, I'm actually crowdfunding for a horse, because especially with the pandemic, the price of them, like I was this close to reaching it last year, and the pandemic just shot the price up. So now I'm like back to square one.
Wow.
So the price of actually buying a horse at the level that I want to compete at and the level that I'm at now it's 5 figures. It's crazy, and that's for just like a lower level one. They can go up to 6 figures. So for me, I find it quite difficult not having a consistent horse, because you build a relationship with it. Like that's your partner. You build a relationship between horse and rider, and having to go through different horses makes it more difficult. So even like trainers and coaches said, once I have that one consistent horse that I have a good bond with, I find it a lot easier.
Wow, sounds like we got a superstar in the making, because she can ride anything. And people have been throwing barriers in front of her, even with the horses sometimes, and she's still overcoming that. So, I mean, you're only in your early 20s, right? You did say that, right? I don't know. So if you're only in your early 20s, just think about 5 years from now when you get your horse, because you're going to get it before that. I'm telling you that now, so own it. You're going to get your horse that you need within the next 5 years or so. And then there'll be no stopping you, because there's nothing else they can throw in front of you. It's Urban Media Today Talk Sports. That's the end of the first half. We got a special guest here, Miss Rane'e James, also Miss Tiffany Hoyd. Of course, we got the regulars. I don't have to tell you who they are. You already know. But I'm going to tell you anyway. You got Coach William Greg Hoyd Jr., you got Vince Butts and Ray Porter Jr. We'll take a quick time out and come right back after this. Good stuff, good people. Oh man, I'm in awe. If you don't mind, Miss Rane'e, explain what being an equestrian is, and so because some people don't have no idea. Also, what like some of the events, like people don't know. And a good question about the lease horse events. And everybody just jump in. Y'all ready? Everybody ready? It's Urban Media Today Talk Sports. This is the beginning of the second half. And if you missed the first half, shame on you, because we dropping gems. Miss Rane'e James is our special guest. She's all the way. Where is she from, Coach? Where is she right now? You tell them, because I don't want to brag. Where is she located right now? Is she speaking to us?
Well, right now it's she told me it's a little after 1 o'clock in the morning in the UK. Is that right? Right?
United Kingdom? Are you serious right now? We've just gone international, and we've gone international in a great way. So Rane'e, I cut you off. What I'm going to do is I'm going to be quiet, let Coach and everybody else ask you the questions they need to ask. And I think we left off with you, Coach.
Well, I can't do this no justice, so I'm going to defer to the Emmy-winning Tiffany Hoyd and let Tiffany go ahead and just let these two girls just come on and just give us some more knowledge. Go ahead, Tiffany. Go ahead, kick those questions in, Tiff.
Hey, Tiff, before you even talk, can I just jump on that real quick? Coach mentioned it and I didn't, and I apologize. I didn't mention that she is an Emmy Award winner working with the Major League Baseball Network. Yes, how can I forget? So we're going international and we're going famous. We got the gold, y'all. Go ahead, Tiff. I'm sorry.
Well, I want to ask the most important question for the kids at home, for the listeners at home. Rane'e, what is an equestrian? Because I know, because I Googled it, but you really don't know. Like you see people in horse shows, but I'll let you elaborate.
So an equestrian is like the general umbrella term for anybody who rides horses, like properly rides horses. There's different disciplines. So there's like English style of riding and Western style of riding. So Western's like, you can tell the difference between like the saddles and the tags that we wear. So Western saddles are like the lot bigger ones, the ones you see the cowboys riding in. There's different Western disciplines like barrel racing, trick riding, roping, penning. There's so many different Western disciplines. There's actually probably a wider variety than English. Then we have English riding, which actually originated over here in Europe. And then that's more military-based riding. So actually a lot of these disciplines came from the military and like the household cavalry and stuff. So we have show jumping, which is like what you see in the Olympics, where they're jumping over jumps that are about up to 1.60 meters high and up to 1.60 meters wide. So you'd have to make it over that single 1.60 meters wide jump in one jump, or that single 1.60 meters high jump. And then you have dressage, which is what most people describe as like dancing with the horse. So you do that to music, different freestyles and stuff. And then we have something called eventing, which is a combination over 3 days of show jumping, dressage, and cross country. So you'd ride a horse across country over some crazy jumps into water that you don't know how deep it is, over ditches. It's just a combination of all three. Personally, I'm not crazy enough to try eventing yet. I cherish my life. So yeah, equestrians is just a general umbrella term for all of us who ride horses and do all these different disciplines.
Perfect.
So you'll be attempting to go to the Olympics. Is that the Paris Olympics?
Yeah, that's correct. I'm hoping to go to the Paris Olympics. I have a whole plan worked out, but I'm just trying to get the horse. Once I have the horse, the ball hit the ground. Basically, I have everything in place. The second I have that, I hit the ground.
And what out of the three events that you mentioned, which so you're obviously not doing the eventing.
No, I don't do eventing. Honestly, they have to wear body protectors that have like, I've seen people wear body protectors that have airbags in them. That put me off completely. Like those jumps, the difference between show jumps and cross country jumps is if you hit a show jumping jump, it will fall down. Cross country jumps are solid. So if you hit those at like 60 miles per hour, it can be very unpleasant. And I don't have the balls for that yet. I'm gonna be real with you. I do show jumping. It's less safe than dressage because you're jumping over giant jumps, but it's enough of an adrenaline rush for me.
So you'll be concentrating more on dressage.
Show jumping more than dressage.
Okay.
Wow. So let's get to the real deal. So I know you need to get. Did I just cut you off, Ray? Go ahead, Ray. You talk, and then I'll ask the question later. Go ahead.
No, yeah, I think we just jumped on at the same time. But first I wanted to say, Tiffany, congratulations on your Emmy. That's just wonderful, just an awesome blessing. And to you and Rane'e, you both are inspirations, and trendsetters as well, and just truly a blessing. My question for Rane'e is, what do you do to inspire others? To use your platform to just inspire others. Whether they're interested in what you do, interested in doing what you do, or maybe some folks that they're just curious, they're inquiring. What do you do, and how?
So up to this point, I didn't feel like I was in a space to be inspirational just yet. I didn't think that I was there yet, because in my eyes, I'm at the beginning of my journey, but just being me, just doing what I do. I've actually had parents like message me on Facebook and also like find me on Facebook and all sorts of message me and say thank you for being an inspiration to my children. Or I take opportunities like this to get my story out there now because I know it inspires people. I do use my platform to speak when I deem it to be necessary. Like I wouldn't call myself an activist. I don't take a stance on everything that's going on politically because it can also backfire against me. And I know that very well. So I don't take a stance to address everything politically on my platform. And honestly, I probably should speak more, but it's, just working on my own self-confidence. But I just keep being me. And I know eventually that it will help the next generation. I work with an establishment in the UK as well for the Urban Equestrian Academy as a brand ambassador. And I also run weekly Zoom classes for the kids, like theory sessions, and just teach them different things. And, I try to help the next generation as much as I can along this journey. Because for me, it's not just about inspiring people. It's like, okay, great, you're inspirational, but how can your inspiration help me? So every step that I take, I try and find a way to make it easier for the next person coming behind me. So, volunteering just to get to be around horses was a huge step for me. So I'm working with the Urban Equestrian to set up a similar establishment in my city. So the kids in my city will have the opportunity to be around horses and to get lessons and not completely break their parents' banks and actually just give them the opportunities that I didn't have. After I find a way to get funding, I'm going to work out a way to help the next generation with that. And after all is said and done, after I've competed in the Olympics, after the dust is settled, I want to set up my own establishment, breed my own horses. So the next generation will have horses to ride. I can be able to say to the next version of me or the next whoever's coming up and going to be better than me, like, here's a horse, you take it, you go out and you be great. That is what I want to be able to do in the future. So, I don't feel like I'm that inspiration yet, but I want to be more than just an inspiration.
Awesome. Awesome.
And,
so Ranee,
and I just want to add in, sorry, to anyone who is interested in my story, or any kids who do want to know more, or anyone in general, my DMs are always open. I'm actually a very responsive person when it comes to Instagram and like all social media. It might take me a few days because I have a little one, but I do respond to everything.
wow, that's a great segue, Ranee, because I was going to I want to make sure, before we move any further, we're running a campaign, and I'm encouraging all our listeners, both in the States and globally, as you listen to this podcast, how can they find you? Give us your DM, give us your Instagram right now so people can find you.
My Instagram is at ebony_in_equestrian. Or if you just search up Ebony and Equestrian, I will be the only person that comes up.
So you have a hashtag. What's that hashtag again?
Hashtag Ebony and Equestrian. So it's actually a play on, I've had that name for years because people ask me, why do I have that? My name's not Ebony. It's a play on ebony and ivory.
All right, ebony and ivory. So they can click on that on Instagram, right? And then they can donate. How can they donate? Tell people how they can donate.
So I have a fundraiser on the Make a Champ platform, which is like GoFundMe, but it's for athletes. And it's got like opportunity to get me to offer rewards back to my donors. So if you click into my Instagram bio, it's the first link in my link tree and you can donate that.
Awesome. That's dope. Go ahead, Tiff.
Oh yeah, I just wanted to ask a question. I ended up listening to your you did Young Black Equestrians podcast as well, and I ended up taking a listen to it, and I heard that you actually aren't planning to represent the UK in the Olympics. You're planning on representing Antigua, a Caribbean country. What is the impact of that for you, and how little it's even less people as far as Black people who are doing equestrian type activities in the Olympics in that country alone. So talk about that impact and what that means to you.
So for me, I've always wanted to compete for Antigua. That's where my grandparents are from. That's where my family's from. That's been a huge part of my life. I always say my soul lives in Antigua. For what solidified for that decision for me was when I came into the equestrian world and got so much racism in the UK. I was like, well, I don't belong here. I was actually told I don't belong here. So it solidified that decision for me. But another major key part of that as well, and I learned this when I was living in Antigua, the country's entire economy relies on tourism. So like, for example, now how COVID is impacting travel, the economy sinks, and it's a third world country. Like the Caribbean's beautiful, everyone loves it, but it's a third world country. So it becomes incredibly difficult for people to find work. It's incredibly difficult for people to make money outside of tourism. So what I want to be for Antigua is what Usain Bolt was for Jamaica. I want to be that person that makes everyone want to come to Antigua. I want to give Antigua, like, the grinding school in Antigua has been trying for ages to get money, not even money, just machinery from the government so they could build an arena, because they could become the riding hub of the Caribbean. But the government's not got enough motivation to push to help them do that. So I want to say to them, look, the government Antigua is very corrupt, as with most third world countries. I want to be able to say to them, look, if you help me do this, if I represent Antigua, you help them build the giant equestrian center that we need. That way it will bring more tourism to the country, because as well, the first Black equestrian rode for Antigua, and it will bring like more equestrian tourism in general, and it will help boost the overall economy of the country, because this is more than just me, the little Black girl who wants to ride a pony in the Olympics and fulfill everyone's dream and become a Disney movie. It's more than that. It's about helping so many people, even people that don't like horses, have nothing to do with horses. That's really what it is.
That is incredible. Renee, I don't know if you realize it, but I've heard some of the questions that were asked, and I've heard the question posed to you, what are you going to do, or how do you inspire others? And I have to sit here and say, and I think everybody on the panel will agree with me, just you being the best you that you can be is going to change the world. And I say that because when you look at yourself, the young lady that you are, the beautiful young lady that you are, and you're in a beautiful sport because you're riding a horse, people riding horses, that looks very statuesque. The grace and the fluidity between the human being and the horse is a very beautiful sight. You mentioned the fact that it's beautiful and a beautiful feeling to be on the back of a horse and being one with the horse. Lady, when you get up there and do your thing, what you're going to do, you are going to change the world. And I don't know if you realize that, but I know Coach realizes it, because that's why he brought you on the show. I know that Vince and Ray can see it, and I know Tiffany knows it too, because you and Tiffany are both going to be world changers, whether the two of you know it or not. We can foresee it for you, just sitting back here, sitting up in the stands and watching, so to speak. So kudos to you on that. That's the end of the third quarter. This is Urban Media Today Talk Sports. This game goes fast. It's Urban Media Today Talk Sports. We'll be right back after this timeout.
There was a guy in Food Lion pushing a shopping cart with one hand and using his other hand to hold his shirt over his mouth and nose because he didn't have a face cover. Now, he knew good and well before he left the house that he didn't have a mask, but his effort was so convincing. I mean, by all indications, working incredibly hard to practice one of the 3 W's. I couldn't be mad at him.
Urban Media Today Talk Sports. We got Ray Porter Jr. We got Coach William Greg Hoyd Jr. We got Vince Butts. We have our most beautiful guest, Miss Tiffany Hoyd and Miss Rane'e James. And Tiff, go ahead, take it over.
Well, I wanted to get into mentorship, because you're a mentor yourself, but you've had mentors. And for every bad experience we have some good people in our corner. I just want to give you a chance to talk about the people who have been influential to you in your process.
Oh, for me, I will never, ever, ever, ever forget the person who taught me how to tack up a horse, because that's the most basic fundamentals. The place that I had volunteered at, a stable called Rice Park Stables, and it was a lovely family there. Their names were like Shane, Tracy, Natalie, and they taught me how to tack up a horse. They taught me like all the basics, like everything that I needed to know when I knew absolutely nothing. They brought me in, they gave me all these amazing opportunities. So they, to begin with, are the first people that I would have to recognize, because they helped me build my foundations. I spent many years, going to different stables after that, just simply because I moved out of the area. And that's one place that I'll always go back to. Because, I'm so excited when my daughter gets a bit older that I can take her there. Like, that's one place I always go back to. It's also as well when I was in Antigua, the riding instructor there, Susie. She's absolutely incredible. She got on my behind sometimes. She really upset me sometimes, but everyone needs a coach like that. She was like absolutely imperative into getting me to be the person and the rider that I am today. Learning through teaching myself gave me a lot of bad habits. There was a lot of things that I didn't learn because I didn't do pony club or other things like the rest of the kids. So, you know, she helped me catch up in a very short space of time. And then my friend Janet as well, because she had her own horses, she had her own stables, and she gave me the opportunity to ride every other day. Like we went to school together, and it was like, because they was like, yes, let's go, let's stop and get some KFC on the way, and let's have fun. You know, we run pony clubs together in summer holidays, and she helped me so much. She's, you know, just even giving me the opportunity to be around her horses, being, you know, helping, teaching me how to break in horses. Just the amazing opportunities she gave me as well. I've had so many people influence my life, riding wise. They are the main people. I've also just signed up with the OES Equestrian Scholarship, which is something that's come out of the riots last year. It was like a scholarship opportunity for Black riders. So I've signed up with them and got an amazing mentor through that. And I'm signing up for like a second wave as well. So I'm going to keep getting mentorship. And Brianna and Caitlin, who run the Young Black Equestrian podcast, they taught me so much. And we actually have just a Black equestrian community. So we have a Facebook group where I think there's like 124 of us in this group, and we all just help each other. And it's nice to have people around you that mentor you. And Freedom, my boss at Urban Equestrian, he's got an incredible story. Like he's gone from dealing drugs to being saved by horses. His story is absolutely incredible as well. So it's just all these people in my life that helped really push me to achieve what I want to achieve.
Awesome.
That's dope. That's dope. Now I know we're international here, Ranee. So let's talk to the people in Antigua. Let's go ahead and just give them a shout out, and just you go ahead and give them a shout out right now. Talk to your people I
just want to shout out everybody back in Wadadley, everyone at ANU. You lot have the sun. Continue enjoying it. I really hate you for that right now. Shout out to everybody that's there. I miss my island. I will be back this year, and I just want to send huge love. Blessing everyone that's there, hoping everyone stays well and healthy in these difficult times. And my beautiful island, I will see you soon.
Awesome.
Do you have any equestrian events coming up that we can keep track of you as you journey on towards the Olympics?
So I have a very, very long list of events that I want to go to over the next 3 to 4 years in prep for the Olympics. As soon as I have a horse, I hit the ball rolling, basically, because right now I'm horseless. The level of competition I'm at, I'm actually very much struggling. Because of the pandemic, everyone wants lease horses, so there's not that they're really hard to find right now. And the riding school horses just aren't up to what I want to be doing at levels, the heights that I'm jumping at. So until I hit that 100% on my crowdfunder, I'm kind of in a stuck situation. I do start riding again on Saturday because restrictions are lifted in my area, so rider schools are open again. I start riding again on Saturday. And the second I have my horse, I have found an Olympic coach who's based in Miami. So hopefully I can keep pushing and getting the momentum that I am. I aim to be riding by summer. What I'll plan to do is start up a Patreon and just post my show schedule there, but for very select people, just for the simple fact that I take my daughter to shows with me. So for just like safeguarding and health and safety things in general, I'm not gonna publicize what shows I'm going to, but every time I go to a show, afterwards it'll be on my Instagram.
So Tiff, real quick, Tiff, tell people about law school. What's going on?
Law school is a necessary ride for all those wanting to become lawyers one day, but it's also one of the toughest rides you will take. So just for all my other law students out there, people looking to take that journey, just know that you're never going to do it alone, but it's always worth it. And just keep pushing away, just keep chipping away. Don't ever get down on yourself about anything. Keep being a motivated spirit, because that's how you got there to begin with. In anything in life, keep being motivated, keep grinding it out, keep making your way towards your goals, because that hard work is going to pay off.
So Tiff, real quick, I know you big, you have a big audience at Howard University. So let's go ahead and just who you want to shout out at Howard University and your teachers and your deans back there. I know it's a big HBCU following that watch this, that listen to this show and watch this show. Go ahead. You get any shout outs?
Shout out to the Mecca in general. The best university in the world, Howard University. It doesn't get any better. Well, North Carolina Central, they kind of grown on me, you guys. I'm sorry, but Howard, I believe Bison Blue. That's my home. And Mr. Hill, he was a great help to me. Carrie Davis, athletic director at Howard University, all of Howard University athletics. The president, Dr. Frederick. He definitely helped me out along the way as well, just being a great resource. I had one of the only universities in the world that would give me stories or help me in a way that other universities didn't allow young journalists to get access. So Howard's, I can speak forever about Howard. School of Communications, keep going. Miss Dudley, my rock. She helped me get to MLB, and the rest was history from there.
Awesome. All right, Trev, it's time you take it over, brother.
Oh, it's time for me to take it over. No, man, you know what? Tiffany is humble. Rane'e is humble. And I love to see the father interview the daughter. Like, so people who aren't paying attention, that's just an awesome shot right there to see dad being as proud as he is, talking to his young princess who's fastly becoming a queen, which is just awesome. It's Urban Media Today Talk Sports. Tonight, we've done something we have never done before, and thank you to Miss Rane'e James. We've gone international. Also, Rane'e, we're going to ask you to put out your Instagram again and where people can contact, how people can donate, because we got to get you that horse, lady. You got to get your own horse. You can do your own thing. I don't care how much it's costing. We're not going to let that be a barrier. So we'll let that take care of itself. So go ahead and again, if you don't mind, put out your information so that people can know where they can come to check you out and also donate.
Yeah, so my Instagram is Weekend Equestrian. My website will be up probably next month. If you go to my Instagram, there's a link tree in my bio. It's the first link, my Make a Champ campaign. That's very similar to GoFundMe, but it's a platform specifically for athletes. So do check out that fundraiser there. I have a £10,000 goal, and currently I am 32.5% of the way there. So very, very nearly there, like very nearly at 50%. No, it's very much achievable. No, any kind of donation helps, even if it's like even if it's like $2 that you have. Every little piece helps. It takes a village. So please do support me. Please do support what I do and support the future, because like I have said in this interview, it's way more than just me. It's above me now. Like, this is for us. This is for our community.
Most definitely. And Miss Tiff, how can people catch up with you too? Because I know you're an awesome sports writer. Now I know the MLB Network knows all about you, of course. So how do people connect with you, follow you, and what's going on? What's your next project?
Just riled up. That's my biggest journalism piece. I'm working with a firm in DC for the summer. To be continued on that one. But no, just hit me up on Instagram at TT Legend and on Twitter at Tiffany Hoyd. I'm available like Rane'e. Just DM me. If you have any suggested guests for Riled Up, let me know. We have been very fortunate and blessed to get some pretty incredible people on that. So
what we're gonna do, ladies, we're gonna go around the room. This is where we always close the show. Ray Porter Jr., this is the quietest I have seen you in any show that we have done. Man. Okay, well, so we're gonna start with you first. What you got, Ray?
Well, you have your own barbecue sauce a lot of times it speaks for you, so I figured why not, I wanted to give a shout out to the Baylor Bears. I mean, what a finish to the NCAA tournament. I mean, wow. I was hoping that Gonzaga was going to finish undefeated. It's just nice to see it because it's a good story. And, of course, the way they won their game in the Final Four, that was incredible enough. But it also just goes to show, again, it don't matter how you start, it's how you finish. And Baylor was just like, okay, you talking about Gonzaga? Well, we're going to take our record, and we're going to go in there and show them who's boss. So congratulations, Baylor. And, hey, it was a good finish to the NCAA tournament.
Right. All right, Vince Butts, what you got, man?
not the way we usually highlight HBCUs, but unfortunately, this week, former South Carolina State football player Philip Adams killed a family, another gentleman, and then turned the gun on himself. And the thing that I want to spotlight is CTE. There've been a lot of former athletes who have succumbed to this disease, and maybe in the coming weeks and months, if Philip Adams' family decides to have his brain examined to see if he suffered from this disease, we'll be able to hopefully gain more insight and start to help some of these athletes before they get to this point, where they're taking other people's lives and their own lives as well.
Ladies, what you got, Coach?
Oh man, I'm just I'm constantly talking to our young youth about keeping their brand clean. You see what's happening with Deshaun Watson right now. Just a simple engagement with the opposite sex can, and the wrong signals can be picked up, or however it goes on. It's really important that you young recruits out there, I own Playing for Envelopes National College Recruiting. I'm constantly helping kids get to college. And so it's important that you guys protect your brand. You even see what's going on with Paul Pierce. ESPN dropped him because of, media. I really want everyone to be conscious of, you are a brand, and whatever you attach your brand to, it's a privilege. And when you ruin that privilege through some, maybe you might think it might be okay to hang out with your friends and smoke a little bit on Instagram, things of that nature, post some bottles up. But people have worked a lot and long hours to develop their brand, especially Nike. Nike just suspended Deshaun Watson because they really, really have put a lot of time in developing the Nike brand. And when you compromise that brand, what happens is a separation can happen. So I really encourage every athlete that's listening to this call, every parent of an athlete, to talk to them, sit them down and talk about the development of a brand. We have a young lady here, Rane'e James. She's developing her brand to go to the Olympics. It's important that she keeps her brand clean because she needs to be able to represent her country. The same with young lady Tiffany Hoyd, same with us. If we go out and carry ourselves reckless and then try to go out and hopefully keep a job or have someone endorse us as being, part of their brand, it could be a big downfall if we don't take care of that. So again, take care of your brand and take care of yourself accordingly.
Miss Tiffany Hoyd, what you got, Tiff?
I've been in the law school since 2020, August of 2020. So I really don't have any key news in the world. I did hear about the Patriots player and just trying to make sure that we take care of our athletes as far as CTEs go. But no, I'm really here to just be a message for young Black women looking to make a difference, looking to come up, looking to find out more about what Black women are doing, because a lot of times people try to play us as people that fit in a box or a group of people that are boxed in, and we don't have to be that. We can be like Ranee, and we can do incredible things, and we don't have to assimilate to anyone's standard of how we should be.
Yeah. Speaking of Miss James, Miss Rane'e James, you'll wrap up the show.
Unfortunately, I think the only news that I probably have in the UK, we lost a young Black boy. He was suffering from mental health problems and he went missing, and unfortunately he was found and he wasn't alive. So I know this pandemic has been incredibly difficult on all of us, and our government's telling us to stay at home and you can't see your family and friends. And I just want to say it's super important to now, this vital time, prioritize your mental health. If you need to, take some time and see family and friends, I think they'd rather see you and all of you get sick than lose you altogether. So, do prioritize your mental health, do seek professional help. As a Black community, we love to bash therapists. We love to hate on anyone who goes to therapist. It's so vital you speak to somebody. We have a lot of trauma as Black people to heal from. Speak to someone. Make sure you check on your friends, even your friends that seem like they're very strong, they're very put together. Check on the family and friends around you. If you haven't heard from someone in a while, give them a phone call. If they don't answer the phone, maybe give them a house visit. If they're local, just make sure we look out for each other and make sure that your own mental health is prioritized. Do things that make you happy, even if it is to sit down and binge eat popcorn and watch Netflix. Do things that make you happy. You know, put yourself first during these vital times.
Good stuff. It sounds like she's about to go watch Concrete Cowboy. I know she's about to do that, so that's why she mentioned
waiting till I have some good snacks. And my daughter's gonna grab that.
Hey, you gonna do it? Go for it. You're gonna enjoy it. It's a great movie.
Yeah.
Great movie. Very good. All right, so that's it. That's Urban Media Today Talks Sports. I want to say thank you to our special guest, Miss Tiffany Hoyd, to Miss Rane'e James. Everybody have a great weekend.
Urban Media Today talks sports every week on Urban Media Today Radio, where you can listen in on free music and podcasts on our SoundCloud station at Urban Media Today. And for more information, log on to urbanmediatoday.com, your lifestyle, entertainment, and sports blog website.
What type of games being played? How's it going down? I get up, all right?